All right, episode 64, Damo, right?
64.
64.
64, what a beautiful number.
Yeah, all right. We got digital rock star on, someone who's been in the scene for a long time.
You're making me sound old.
No. We're all young here, and honestly, like, you've thrown some of the coolest parties in Perth, just from me being on the outside watching in. So, Phil, g'day.
G'day. Thanks for having me.
Phil, you blunt. Holy shit! I can't believe you've come on. It's so nice to meet you.
I can't believe it took this long for you guys to invite me.
Well, I got to get through everyone eventually, kind of thing. So, who are you? What do you do? And I asked this at like the beginning of every podcast, like, what got you into it? You're a DJ, you're an event promoter, you're a mixer and master, like you produce music.
Like when we were talking before the podcast in the lead up, I was looking back at my old bio and just thinking, like, I've done like literally so many different parts of the music biz in terms of the electronic sort of side of it.
When
I don't know how much I'll claim as being a so and so, but yeah, I've done a lot. I started out like, well, I don't know, I guess probably like most of us who are in the scene, just loving music. So I started playing guitar at like 10 years old.
No shit.
And then in high school was in bands. This is like mid-90s, so it was like Nirvana, Metallica,
classics,
all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then my friend put me onto Wu-Tang Clan and Gravediggers and like the golden era of hip-hop, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I'm allowed to cuss, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You got a beeper or something there. And so from there I was like, all right, what do you do if you're into hip-hop and you don't want to be a rapper, because I wasn't going to do that. I was like, how do you do the music? Like, what's the music guy? What's the guitarist? And so I was like, okay, you're a DJ. So then I just started buying hip-hop records, breaking all my parents' records and needles.
Yeah. Do you say the Eagles just then?
No.
Oh, okay.
All their needles.
Oh, their needles. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
scratching.
I've got multiple copies of the Eagles given to me. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, they're one of those niche bands.
Yeah, band or football.
I know the Eagles. They don't even like each other anymore. You ever watched The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
And there's that famous scene where he's in the cab and the driver's playing the Eagles. He goes, I don't want to listen to the fucking Eagles, man. And apparently one of the Eagles members actually saw that scene for the final screening, just to get the copyrights off from him. And he said, I agree, because I fucking hate the other members of the Eagles. So I keep that in there. So you're not alone, man.
I mean, if the dude says it.
Yeah, that's it. It's the dude.
Gospel,
yeah. That's it. So then after playing the guitar and, breaking a few needles along the way, like, how did you get into gigging and getting into the whole scene?
That was probably like 96, showing my age there, buying records. I got like a dodgy ass mixer. It was pretty hard to come by anyone DJing, even DJ equipment back then. Like, I would scour the buy and sell pages in the paper every week to try and find a turntable. But did that for like years, as the standard goes, playing parties and weddings and anything that anyone would let me put on music at. And then in 2001, I entered the Channel V DJ music comp.
Channel V, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I sent in a 20-minute mix for that. Got selected to play like the WA final, which was at Metro City.
Oh, wow.
So that was wasn't my first, pretty much my first gig. It was playing before Judge Jules, who I don't know if you guys will know Judge Jules.
I think I've kind of heard of him.
He used to be big back in the early noughties, the 90s. Did a competition there, ended up winning that, which is cool.
Was that on CDJs or was that on vinyl?
No, this is vinyl. This
really?
Is
Metro CDs City vinyl?
Really that common.
Wow.
I definitely didn't have CD players. And got flown to Sydney. That was pretty dope, and played on live on Channel V for the final. Didn't win,
but still though, you got flown to Sydney cool. Though. That's
It was I was 21. My mind was blown.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, so that was kind of good, and that I didn't really know anyone in the scene. I was really green, really just young and green. Actually, the gig before that, I did a DJ comp upstairs at Brass Monkey.
Really?
And I rolled up and didn't think I needed to bring headphones. That's how green I was. I thought they would just provide headphones for some fucking reason.
And what, you tried to, did he gig without headphones?
Someone went and got my, I think I lived in Northbridge, so I was all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much my level of greenness. But yeah, so came back from that and kind of people heard my name by then, so I guess I then like just met people in the scene and started getting a few sort of little gigs. And
did you have the name Philly Blunt back then as well, or did you go under a different alias or anything?
I started I think then I started out before then as Philly the Kid.
Nice.
That didn't last long, so I cut it down to Philly.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until so that like I've got that Channel V footage somewhere on a VHS. So I've got
on a VHS.
I found the tape recently. Like I was moving my studio, and I was like, "Oh, I got to digitize this."
Yeah, 100%. That's memories right there.
I know. I've got to do that. Maybe I'll try and do it soon. I'll link everyone else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it'll be pretty funny. What was I saying?
So, like, how many people were at Metro City as well? Was it like a packed night kind of thing, or
it was like bottom floor packed?
Yeah,
not like whole thing. But I was crapping myself.
So with that as well, like playing vinyl at a club, was it like with the subs kind of like rumbling a little bit too hard to make the needle skip or anything like that?
Everyone, that's all people had was vinyl. So it was like all the clubs were set up for it. Now if you play vinyl, no one's used to it.
That's
so the clubs just chuck like these terrible old turntables. People
were like, "What's with these giant black frisbees you got?"
Back then it was like they were prepared for rumble and everything, so it was all right. The worst thing was like I would be so nervous, shaking, trying to put like the needle on
the right spot. Yeah. So how was that though? Because I can imagine like being like a sweat pit and you got to quickly duck down and go through your crate, find the next.
Well, that was all right because I was prepared. Yeah.
How much preparation did you do for something like that? Like,
I did a lot.
Months at all, like. Or?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was months, but I did a lot of effort into my mix. Like I was making mixtapes and stuff before then. Then this was like. I was playing like full breakbeat, so in 20 minutes I only mixed 5 songs.
But still, like back then
that was what you did. It was like 7-8 minute tunes that you mixed for like, a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But that was good. I like that. That's a good, enjoyable way to mix as well. When you find 2 songs that just like
just work. They're harmonically just
perfect.
Yeah.
When you're doing quick 30-second mixes, it doesn't really matter if they're not that great together, you just like bang, bang, bang.
That's it, yeah, just one after the other and just, it's one of those things as well in today's day and age where a lot of the kids are, literally just trying to throw as many songs as they can in an hour playlist. And
I mean, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's like it shows the skill.
I started out on hip-hop, so, it's all cutting, just cutting. And I know I appreciate that, but then it's like, you kind of lose the actual mix.
Yeah. Because it's just so fast and there's no feeling to it in a way.
There's no sort of overlaying of songs and getting both in there and getting this part from this part working with this. I mean, it's still there, but it's like less and less and less.
Yeah.
But then it depends what genre you play.
Exactly,
like if you're playing house and techno, it's all about layering and...
Yeah, and building up the hype for the beat and like, the drop and then just like, just like in those techno crowds you see when it's just like, just builds up and everyone's just like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's different payoffs, I guess, when you're doing it that way to when you're playing, when it's a bit more of a, I guess, commercial crowd. They just want to hear the next song, bang, bang, something they know, something that they can recognize.
And it's one of those things as well. It's like now that we're in the digital age of mobile phones and social media, it's like they say it's like we've got an attention span less than a goldfish or something like that now, something stupid.
But I don't know if that's the case, but I think it's definitely quicker. Like people don't want to listen to a...
3.5 minute song of Pitbull.
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny one because I played like one of the Amber reunion shows and
that in September?
It was the last year or the year before. They've had 2 or 3 now, 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was all vinyl, or we were playing vinyl that year anyway. And so obviously with records, you're kind of playing the whole song. You're playing that intro.
Yeah.
You're not able to kind of just skip forward or just loop bits and chop it. So there was like, it was noticeable. People were kind of like, you're mixing these tunes, and so they would stay in for like 3.5, 4 minutes. And then the next tune's only just coming in. It's not just bang,
That's
and it was noticeable, like people were like just like, especially the younger crew, like
Yeah. That's it. It's like,
so
come
long.
on, let's go on.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm the same as well.
Well, it's just like how we've all developed in a way with the way the music industry is in today's day and age. Like
Music,
just,
I mean, and as well as just technology, you know, everyone wants everything immediate.
That's it, yeah.
You know,
Then and now.
music-wise,
Here and
everything's
now.
just singles because there's no album sort of
Exactly.
push anymore. It's
Or
just like,
EPs and stuff, just
Yeah.
like small amounts.
yeah.
So then after Sydney and stuff like that, then so what? You came back a hero kind of? Like, what happened? Like,
Not quite. I didn't win, so no.
But like you got close to winning, right?
I did all right.
Say yes.
I wasn't unhappy. I don't think I came last, but they didn't place us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I came back from there and kind of met a few crew in the scene. Started doing, I don't know. I started playing a few like hip hop gigs, like more kind of commercial bars and stuff like that, and then got a few kind of more breaksy, clubby sort of things as well. God, it's taken it back.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I met a few crew, met some people, and started doing like late night shows at RTR.
Oh, really?
Back when RTR was in...
Well, like, what year would that have been back then?
probably like 2003.
Yeah, because RTR's been around for a long,
Oh,
long
yeah.
time.
So they
right?
were over in UWA at that point. So they were... I think that's where they started.
No
And
way.
it was
So you're
part
like
of
back in the
UWA.
beginning kind
Well,
of thing.
And it was like the
Something
first,
like that.
and it was the first independent digital radio station in the world, or something like that, or the first independent one to be on FM radio. I'm fairly certain.
Maybe. They've always been on FM. Their community, they did sort of push into digital pretty early, but I don't know if they're on like digital radio.
Yeah.
No, but
Does
they're
anyone listen to digital radio?
No, I don't.
No,
Not
it
in
was-
Australia. We're not.
I mean, I don't know. I guess so.
Did you do any courses or anything like that to be able to get into RTR, or was it just kind of like away you go?
No, well, I was just rolling in. So the guys, I met some crew at uni, and they were really cool. And they used to do what was called the Dawn Treader, which was
The
like
Dawn
the
Treader?
Dawn Treader show, which was like Tuesday nights or Wednesday morning, 1 a.m. till 5 or 6 a.m. And so the listenership was pretty minimal. Lots of like truckies and cabbies.
Yeah. The people that
but
are
we were
awake
pretty
at that
much
time.
like, like it was pretty loose back then. We could just kind of do whatever. So yeah, that was good.
And so with that, it's like, because you've done some presenting and stuff like that now, right? Like from there, like doing the, playing the tracks at that early, in the early times. When did you kind of segue into like earlier in a way, or like, because you said you were part of Full Frequency for like 8 years, right? Like,
So that was kind of, I guess, around the 2010 mark.
okay.
So by then I was like playing at Amber, putting on some shows at Amber, and kind of a bit more known around town, I guess.
Yeah.
But still on my way up. Micah was doing Full Frequency on Mondays with Ben Mack.
Mike DeWitt?
Micah.
Oh, Micah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I don't know if Mike DeWitt was born then. Was he? Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, if you're watching, Mike.
But where was I? Yeah, also I would guest in whenever one of them was sick or couldn't make it. I would sort of do the jump in. But I was pretty terrified of talking, so I was like, well, that was something by this guy.
Yeah,
That was
it's
about
one of
all I'd
those.
say.
It's one of those things, though, right? Because when you hear yourself on the radio or you hear yourself again, you're like, "Oh my god, I sound like that."
Oh yeah,
Or
even
look
now
like
I
that.
don't
I'm
listen
like-
back. I won't listen back to this. No offense.
Damn it!
I might.
Yeah. I'll send you it anyway. So you don't. You get the choice, or you don't. It's up to you.
No, I've got used to it now. That is one of the things. It's like, so from there, Ben ended up leaving in maybe around 2010 and 11.
Yeah.
Or it would have been like 2012, something like that. And then so I jumped in on a weekly basis with Micah and did that for like, I think 8 years. And he only finished up about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And now I've jumped onto the Trainwreck crew, which is Saturday nights, which is a bit more
Prime
loose
time
and
kind of
fun.
thing. Yeah. So then with that as well, because like we skipped a couple of years, but like, so like from 2003 to like 2010, like what were some of your achievements and what you kind of got going in a way, like because you were just playing more pubs and clubs and bars and stuff like that, and like, how did you segue into running your own events as well in a way, kind of like?
Well, I was actually pretty lucky. Like when I must have been like early days, 2002, 2003, met some crew who were putting on shows at, I think they were kind of managing or booking what was then called the Big Apple, but what people would know as Barb's now.
Okay.
And was also
Shape as well. Yeah.
It's been a few things.
Apple,
so this is the Big Apple, and it was called something else as well. Anyway, a couple of cool crews, Saxon and I think it was Marty. They were just like, I guess, saw some potential and were like, maybe they just saw they could make some money, which is the way it goes. Because I was kind of young and had all my friends coming to all my gigs, which, you know, that's the way.
Yeah, that's always
works.
a plus kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I've booked many a DJ on that.
That's how. It can work like that.
They were like, "Do you want to put on a night?" So I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah." I couldn't quite get into Amber at that point. I wasn't really in that realm already.
How long has Amber been around for? I thought it was only around for like 5-10 years or something.
I think didn't they have a 20th anniversary? No, maybe not. Maybe they didn't make it. I think they started like 99, 2000.
Really?
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, but still, like, if they were somewhere around that era,
can
that's
we
still.
Google that?
Yeah, let's Google that.
I'm already on it, boys.
Yeah, Damo is on it.
I'll probably get in trouble for not knowing that.
No, you'll be fine. We're freestyling. It's all good.
In the early 2000s.
Early 2000s?
Yeah, maybe it was 2000, 2001.
So
no way. I thought it was something different before that, or like it opened in 2012 or something.
No. It did shut down for
2003.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
I believe it's been.
There you go, 2003.
There you go.
Since 2003.
So what was the music like back then for that? Because like, as you said, like you didn't really fit in there. Was it just like
musically
heavy?
I probably would have, but I was just a young kid, and it wasn't as easy to break into the scene back then. Like in 2003, 2000, there's probably like 20 to 30 dudes, even less, 20 people who were like playing out at clubs.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of, and this is not like having a dig, but it was like people were a bit more guarded, probably going back a bit further, like 2000s. People weren't like, there was DJs who'd been doing it for a while, and the scene was blowing up, and there was all these kids like me kind of like, wanting gigs, and there was like, there was pushback, but not that I got that from Amber. I just wasn't really there yet. Obviously they were just starting, so I probably wasn't even aware, but it would have been about then. I put on a few gigs at
the Big Apple.
At the Big Apple, one over in the little row of shops near
Badlands?
So
which was DeVille's Pad, right?
Even before then, that was something else. But at the other end of that little line of shops, there was like another club.
Okay.
Called something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I ran some gigs called Hydrophonic, which I thought was real cool at the time.
That's a pretty cool name.
Designed my own flyers, which was sick.
So really, like, because you do graphic design work as well. So, like, is that kind of when you segued into that kind of realm, or? Sort of.
I was studying that at uni probably like 2000 to probably finished like 2 or 3.
And how was that without laptops and computers as well?
Oh, we had your bigger, like home, like your giant, what are they called?
Like stencil thingy majiggy or
No, we had computers. How old are you?
CRTVs? No.
The big monitors that were like, you had to have a desk like this size.
Did you ever bring your mixes on floppy disks instead of CDJ sometimes?
If only they could hold a song.
But then, so with that, like graphic design work, like how was that? That was
kind of cool. I wasn't doing a lot of design stuff then, and it kind of flowed like this for about probably 10 years, where I was like, the only design work I was doing was for my own gigs. Oh well, probably 5 years, and then from that started getting some more stuff in the scene.
But it's still good practice. Like you're designing your own. Yeah, you're doing your own.
Whatever you like.
Exactly.
You can spend as much time
it's freedom.
As you like.
Yeah.
You don't have an asshole client.
It's like, I want this done that way and this and that, and like, just go for gold. So then with hydrophonics as well, like how was your very first event? Like was it like how was your anxiety and stuff? Like you just like, oh my god, I hope we sell enough tickets, and because it would have been like. I don't even
remember. I'm a pretty anxious person, but I don't remember the anxiety back then. I think you're
just too full of beans and
pretty much
party
you're just
mode.
young and dumb and ready to. You don't think about it when you're real young. I think, but I mean, I definitely have had a lot of promoter anxiety since then. And I'll call it that when I was putting on nights. And it's like that time, especially at Amber, where you'd open at like 10, but no one would get there till 12.
Yeah.
So you'd have this 2 hours where it was empty, but you kind of know it's going to be empty, but you're still just like, where the fuck is everyone?
Exactly, yeah.
Stressing, and then people kind of come, and then you're like, well, hopefully they do.
But then, so with that, it's like, you know, with running events back then, stuff like that, like how, I mean, obviously, like, you would advertise through like word of mouth and handing out flyers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like,
well, back then also there was like message boards. So there's no Facebook, but In the Mix was huge. You heard In the Mix?
Kind of.
So In the Mix was like a dance music website, but the big thing was forums, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So everyone, I met hundreds and hundreds of really cool people. And friends I've still got to this day through forums. Do I need to explain what an internet forum is to you guys?
No, we know. Yeah. I mean, everyone should know what that is. You pulled that up as well, right?
From In the Mix.
Yeah.
Say goodbye,
so really,
well, I got my first gig at Amber through In the Mix because I won another competition, I think.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Was it like what were the handles back then? Was it a lot like MSN handles? It was like
pretty much, yeah. You had your kind of, you know, your name and an avatar or whatever,
and like the numbers, because like you always had like, and you had the @ symbols because you like, you know,
well, it's
emojis.
funny because like it was a lot more potentially anonymous. You know, like it's like going on Reddit or something, right? So it's like you can go in there and just be a dick, and it doesn't really come back to you, even if you're on a Perth based like chat or like forum. You can go in there and be kind of a different person. And so the interesting thing was you'd know all these people online, and like In the Mix and Technoscape was the Perth-based edition, which definitely needs a mention. But you'd meet all these people online and know their kind of persona, but then you meet them in real life, and they're like a total different person. So when Facebook came along, and it was like, there's no avatar, there's no like false name.
That's it.
This is you.
This is the real person,
it was interesting
right?
because people were like. Some people are still dicks online, but then you're like,
you made
that reflects on you.
That's it. It's like, oh yeah, you're that guy.
Is this a big one? Was this a big one back in the day, my friend? Australian DJ forums. Does that at all ring a bell?
I don't know that one so much.
Shit.
See, It probably was. But I mean, for Perth, Technoscape was huge, and In the Mix was Australia wide. In the Mix was pretty massive. I think they've turned into, they got bought out by Junkie now.
Yeah, they
really?
It's like a. I don't even know what you call it, just like a lifestyle magazine-y kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of being about
cool.
kind of...
Instead of being cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been on Junkie in a while.
So then with that as well, like, so you ran a few events and then you kind of segued into RTR and stuff like that, and then like, so what else happened? Kind of thing, like, tell us more stories.
Oh, I did get reminded of this the other day. This is a cool story. For some reason it popped up in my head at a party, and I was telling someone, an old friend who I've known for years. Actually, my friend Lisa, who I started Force Majeure with. But I think I was trying to look at the year, because I don't know the year, but I think it was 2005. And so by this time I was playing around a little bit, doing a few like money kind of bar gigs and cheese gigs, and then doing a few little sporadic club shows. Anyway, one of my friends was working at the Duxton Hotel, and every year the big day out would roll through town, and all the artists would stay at the Duxton. Like every year. And then every year also Perth was the last slot
leg of the
on
tour.
the tour, last leg of the tour. So they would throw this big ass party in like the ballroom of the Duxton, and all the artists would be like loose as fuck. There's no show the next day. They're all like week off, whatever, flying home. Anyway, it was always crazy. So anyway, my mate's working there this year. He's like, they need a DJ for this after party. I was like, fucking sign me up. Like, I can't even know if I got paid. I think I got something, but I dragged my shitty turntables in there, my crappy mixer, and it was like, it was just a mental night. It was,
it would have been,
big day out days were just loose as fuck. So it was like those dudes from like all the Aussie bands like Spiderbait, Grinspoon.
No way.
Who's the Perth guys? Black Fingernails, Red Wine.
Oh, Eskimo Joe.
Eskimo Joe. One of those guys was real cool. He bought me a beer. Shout out to the bass player, Eskimo Joe. But yeah, also on the lineup was Beastie Boys. Chemical Brothers.
No way.
Yeah, and there was some more that was just insane. And so I was up there DJing, and it's kind of like, it wasn't like there was a dance floor and shit like that. It was kind of like background music. But at some point, the Beastie Boys fucking come up to me, and they're just like, dude, what kind of fucked up turntables are these? I was like, just doing my thing. Well, they're real cool. And then Mixmaster Mike was like, "Can I have a scratch?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
So I was like playing beats on like, I had a CDJ by then and the turntable, and he was just fucking scratching over the top. And that was pretty dope.
That would have been amazing though, because
It was pretty good.
to
Then
meet the
Chemical
Beastie
Brothers came up and had a mix.
No way.
But I didn't recognize them.
No, really?
Well, you know, if you think of the Chemical Brothers, right?
Yeah,
You
they
know
don't
what
really
look like?
exactly. They
Well,
don't
one
really
of them's
have
got
face.
glasses, long hair. He's pretty
Yeah.
recognizable. The other guy just looks like a dad. Right? So he comes up and he's like, "Can I put on some tunes?" I was like, "Yeah, who are you?" He's like, "I'm fucking so and so from the Chemical Brothers." And I was like, "What?" And he said I had to say it like 3 times.
Oh,
loud.
wow.
And then I could see he was getting real pissed off. And then I was just like,
Oh my god! Why did I do that? Please, just have a go.
yeah. And then Phil Jameson came up from Grinspoon, and he was like, "Look, I want to get this fucking party started." And he's like, "Can I put some tunes on my iPhone?" And he whipped out like the original, iPod.
Yeah, yeah.
The white iPods, the big things about this big.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, "Can we plug this in? And you just put on the songs, and I'll just like talk and shit." So we did that for like a couple of hours. Yeah, it was a good night.
That would have been amazing though, to meet the Beastie Boys and Chemical
Yeah, that was
Brothers. and,
good. That was good.
That's
That was one of
legendary.
my better stories.
Yeah, that's a legendary status kind of thing. And then, like, what time do you guys finish up? Like when the
That was
sun
like
was up?
5 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And then, so this is good because there was like probably 10 people by the end. It was like one of the dudes from Spider Bait, a couple other people I didn't really know, but I was like, you know, they're all going upstairs to get fucking lit for days. So like he comes up at the end, he's like, "Thanks, man, that was cool." And I was like, "Cheers, like, what are you guys doing now?" He's like, "Nothing." And walked off. I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Oh yeah, you're doing nothing.
I tried.
Yeah, we're so close though.
Yeah, but
so
that was
close.
a good night.
That's still.
I've kind of forgotten about that.
That's amazing though. That's so cool.
Yeah,
And,
that
like,
was good.
have you ever played at a big day out from then onwards or anything like that? Because they stopped.
They never got to play a big day. I went to a lot of them.
Because they were amazing festivals.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, the way things are these days and how expensive it is to get artists in, and you know, payments and the whole thing. It's it's like with Soundwave. Like Soundwave was so good, but everyone needs to be paid, kind of thing.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So
Crack another.
of course, yeah. So then with that as
We
well,
won't
so
get
like,
that on camera. We'll keep it professional.
but then so
just kidding.
with that though, so like you kind of segued from that and getting gigs and here and there, and like, you know, like what was it like doing, you know, cheesy gigs in a way, like you said before, and like doing weddings and stuff like that? Did you kind of see that this is what you wanted to do and pursue it, like
Yeah, well, I think I was just into it from
just day one?
forever. Yeah. So I didn't do weddings for very long because they're pretty terrible. But you know,
They can be tedious.
they do what they pay good, but yeah, I was like probably too young and dumb to like go and ruin someone's magical day.
That's it.
But anyway, I didn't do that long, but ever since then I've kind of run a gauntlet, I guess, or just a balance of doing gigs for money and trying to make just make a living as a DJ, and then kind of balance that with doing the good gigs, which are kind of more few and far between and less money, and probably, you know, it's harder to make a living off just doing that, especially it was back then anyway.
Well, that's exactly it. You got to put the hours in. You know, you got to be able to do 5-6 hours at a pub or this.
Exactly,
or that.
yeah. If
And
you
then
want to
it's
slack
like,
off for the rest of the week.
That's it. And then in doing stuff like that, it's like what I've said to other guests. It's like, you know, you have to play Dancing Queen every single week kind of thing. It's just part of the routine, I guess you could say. Like,
Yeah. So I did that for a while. I was doing like heaps of like lots of hip hop, like noughties hip hop, 50 Cent, all that shit. It was good. You know, that was kind of cool music back then, and it was like that was a bit of a vibe as well.
yeah.
And then it kind of started getting a bit shitty, the music, and like what was kind of pop commercial music kind of got shitty.
You start letting, just...
Well, you know, I tried to do it like I never really wanted to play stuff that I didn't like. You know, I'm happy to play like to the crowd and play commercial, but I was like, if I fucking hate a song, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, that's completely
But, like,
fair, yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't always get you gigs.
Exactly. That's it. That is it, yeah.
But no, there was a point there I remember clearly when I kind of had to make a bit of a decision to go, okay, do I want to be known as a commercial DJ, or do I want to try and be more of a serious club DJ? And sort of made my decision and pulled way back on that stuff for a few years, and then just kind of focused on Amber, doing club stuff, putting on shows, and making music as well.
So then, what are some of the other events that you've run? Because like Force Majeure, and you've done like.
So yeah, Force Majeure went for 9 years.
9 years. I had no idea it went for that long either. Wow.
But before that, I used to do, and the way I got into Amber, so I'd done a couple of like guest slots. I did that in the mix slot at Amber and did all right. They were kind of happy, interested. But again, it was tough to get into. I mean, it kind of was up until its demise. But yeah, and I think I'd done another guest slot, which didn't go as good, but you know.
But that's it though. Like, not every gig can be a perfect gig.
No, not at all. I've done plenty of stinkers.
Yeah, that's it. Like, so have I. Like, it's just one of those things where sometimes it just doesn't go as planned.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you got to take the good and the bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty much the gold standard for Perth. There wasn't a whole bunch of clubs as well. So it was like Amber, it was Geisha, but they were kind of different kind of music. This was before there was even like a shape, something that was shaped to kind of pop up and give Amber a bit of competition. So it was like, if you weren't at Amber, you weren't really sort of doing it at that point. So I was like edging to get in there. Anyway, I was working with Ben Mack at a music store, and he was a resident there, and so I kind of managed to pitch to him that we put on a show together. We called it Bootleg. I actually stole the idea off someone in Sydney who was doing it. So back then, when it was more records, like most tunes were like official remixes, right? Like the original song or an actual remix. But then you would get people who would like press up a bunch of like 1,000 vinyl of a bootleg, you know, whether it be like just whatever famous song. So it's like basically an unofficial remix. They don't really get called bootlegs these days.
Yeah, exactly.
But back then, it was kind of like they were the kind of cheesy kind of party sort of starters. Not cheesy, but they were the ones that everyone knew. So you would get like an Armand Van Helden classic song in a breakbeat style, right?
Yeah.
Was it this, my friend? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah. So me and Ben started bootleg, pitched it to the club, and they gave us a shot, and we did well. And then we called ourselves the Bootleg Brothers.
Hey, Mark Ronson, Mr. Mark Ronson. Are you a fan?
Oh, mate, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, who isn't a fan of Mark Ronson?
So, yeah, we've got a few mixes up there. They're on my Mixcloud.
I think that's... Damo has tracked that down.
Oh, indeed. Yes, they are.
Well, yeah.
But, yeah, it was interesting because, like, at that point, especially in the break scene or the scene that was in Perth, it had gone a bit, like, kind of, like, head up its own ass in terms of, like, this deeper... You know, it's got to be kind of this cool original music. Like if you were playing like a bootleg or something a bit cheesy, it was kind of a bit frowned upon. But it had kind of gone a bit too far down that head up its own arsey way. So we were like, let's just do something fun and cheesy and party, and the girls will come and then the guys will come, and then let's just have some fun with it for a change.
And that's how events really work these days, right? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, always you don't want to just do that, and you don't want to, you know.
Well, yeah, you got to provide the vibe and good atmosphere.
Yeah, you want to play good music when it comes down to it. But yeah, that was our, you know, at that point there was a gap in the market, so we were like, let's just do something that's still cool music, but it's just a bit more accessible.
Yeah,
we literally called it the tagline was tunes you know in the styles you love. So it was like, you know, and it worked. We did that for about 7 years, every kind of 2 months. And then somewhere along the line, I think 2 or 3 years into that, or a year or two into that, I kind of became a resident. And then eventually pitched Force Majeure, which I think went from like 2010 to like 2019.
Where did you get the name from as well? Because it's such a unique name, Force Majeure.
Yeah.
Like Force from like Star Wars or something like that?
No,
Majeure,
well, Force Majeure is like, it's like a legal term.
Oh, really?
So I actually saw it in the mix. So it's like, and funnily enough, I started it with my wife, then girlfriend, and my friend Lisa, Mono Lisa, who was one of the other residents at Amber, who's a lawyer. Anyway, I saw this thing about a festival that got cancelled some reason, but Force Majeure is kind of like an act of God. So you write it into a contract. I'll probably get this wrong. So, It's kind of written into a contract where it's like, well, if there's like force majeure and this event gets like a tornado wipes it out, you're kind of covered by this, or you're not, whatever.
Yep.
But I saw this term and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And that was it. And then Lisa was just like, yeah, that's a sick name. She actually knew what it meant. So
an event that is a result of the elements of nature as opposed to one caused by human behavior. So the act of God, basically.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool, like an act of God.
So if God started raining pig's blood, and that short-circuited the speakers at Amber, what's Amber going to do, bro? It's a force majeure.
yeah, it worked.
Could I have a beer, Damo, if that's right?
Oh, of course, mate.
Yeah.
So this is I'm also, not am I the video monkey, I'm also the beer monkey. We wear many hats here.
So then, how was like your first event running for Force Majeure as well? Was it a similar thing where, because was Amber always like where it's like 10 o'clock to midnight? It was just no one really rock up. And then
pretty
after
much,
midnight?
It was like, well, it used to be 9 till 6. But
wow.
You know, people wouldn't get there till 12, 1 o'clock. But then it used to be real late. So like we'll go till 6 a.m. and like 2:30, 3 o'clock would be the peak of the night. It would be fucking heaving. So like the 12 to 1 slot was good. You'd be like a bit more party stuff, getting everyone onto the dance floor and like a bit more funky. And then 1 till kind of 2:30 was like you could kind of slam it out. And that was like that was kind of half peak time. And then 2:30 to 4 was like, that was like the peak set. Like you could just slam it out and everyone would fucking love it.
And so with that as well, it's like with the programming. So like, did you kind of like, you know, book certain DJs earlier on that could play a certain style in a way? Because like, or was it all just breaks or like?
Well, it was mostly breaks.
Thank you.
But I mean, in terms of style, there's still lots of different stuff. So yeah, of course, like start out with some funky and some hip hop shit. You know, like all A skills and that sort of stuff was still big back then. So like first 2 hours would be like funky breaks, a bit more party, and then to heavier, and then by the end of the night you're kind of slamming out driving breaky techno sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, only in that sort of sense, it was like there was a definite flow to the night.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you like, you know, the things you learnt along the way with like running events kind of thing, and also like, you know, some of the difficulties when trying to run an event? Because like obviously, like what we said before, sometimes things don't always go as planned, but it's like, you know, it's not like things that are like popped up and it's like going to ruin the night. But I just mean like, you know, maybe I should have done that or I should have done this.
I don't know. I never really classified myself as like a promoter. Like I never even made a promotion company, you know, so and so presents. I was just kind of like doing it because I started out doing it to get gigs, and then it seemed to work and it would pay some pretty good money. So then I just did it for like 12 years and
and just kept going.
And like halfway through I was like, oh, I guess I know how to do this now. But I don't know, there's not a lot to it. You know, book some DJs, do some event art and market it. If you can get people there, there's not, you know.
And then with the way the internet's involved as well, did that kind of shake things up a little bit for you guys at all? Or
well, that was kind of good because like when we first started doing stuff, it was like you'd do it on, put something on in the mix. Like they had an events thing, so you know they had an events part of their website, and so you'd post your event in there, and it'd be like a, I don't know, you know, just like a
like one of the threads kind of thing.
Well, it was more just like a what's on in Perth this weekend. So you'd be like, okay, this is on at Amber, this is on at Geisha. So you did that, and then you started like a thread in the forum and try and kind of drum up some stuff like that. Yeah. In the same way, now you would create an event on Facebook and kind of post photos, you know, links to a mix.
Exactly. Try and get people on it.
Yeah. But I think when Facebook kind of took over, it was pretty obvious that it was really good for events. But it was also like, it was really easy to get that reach. So everyone jumped on Facebook, and then it was just like, oh, we're doing this party. There wasn't as many parties as well. So it was just like you were in everyone's feed. There was no like blocking. There was no advertising. It was well different back then. Yeah,
because I mean, social media has just changed so much over the years. And it's getting worse and worse and worse, unfortunately. But you know, for us, like, you know, as you know, people in the music industry, it's like you kind of have to.
It's a necessary.
You have to use it in a way. And it's like, it's so good that, you know, so like going to TAFE and stuff like that, I've actually met some kids that don't have Facebook. And it's like they just refuse to get it.
That's awesome. Like there's a
beacon of hope, right? Like, it's like, yes, there's something good's happening.
Like people are kicking back against it. I mean, it's pretty shit now anyway.
It is,
I've only really held on to it because I'm still pushing a few, like promoting a couple of little gigs here and there. But yeah, other than that, I barely really, like, I scroll through it and just be like...
It's just adverts after adverts and sponsors and this and that.
It's really bad.
Yeah. But it's just the way it is these days. Yeah. So then with that as well, like after Force Majeure, because you ran Kyoto as well, didn't you?
Kyoto?
No, maybe I've got the name wrong. What was the other big event?
Oh, so YUM CHA?
YUM CHA, that was it. Yeah,
so
sorry.
me and Genga did YUM CHA.
Oh, it was you and Genga that did that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Genga, the legendary Pokemon.
Big ups to Genga.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know what year we started that. It must have been like 2015.
Because that was at like Ginger, wasn't it?
No, it was at Amber as well. That was when everything had changed. So it was probably a year or two before that bootleg finished up, because by then there was SoundCloud and it was all digital and every song was a bootleg. Everyone, everything was an unreleased remix. There was no sort of difference to us. Force just seemed to keep going and kind of evolved with sounds and everything, with the focus being on kind of heavier end of bass music. But yeah, somewhere in the middle there, it became more like trap came about. And that just took over for a while. Well, it was huge, and then I think at Amber there was like, they knew they needed to shift, and so we were like, well, let us put on a trap night. And then we did that for a few years. That was cool. It was fun. It was an interesting year, the trap era.
Well, it just sounds like so much fun, honestly, because just like running events and just like looking back and be like, so many successful nights. And just like
it's a good feeling when you just like, you pack a room and you just get to play some songs to people, and
and just the memories that you can create from it as well, right? And just the people you meet,
so many like, met so many people and really good friends, and just able to give gigs to other DJs as well. Like, I gave Genga his first gig at a bootleg because he was doing that stuff. I think it was a bootleg. But like, I mean, shit ton of DJs that like would just send me demos, or I'd just meet at the club and then give them their first gig, and then they'll go on to do some cool stuff, or even just to be able to give gigs to people.
Well, that's what's so good though, right? Like, if you do that, you don't know what's going to happen in a way. Like, you could give them their first gig and then they could go on tour of the world or something like that. Or
exactly.
They could just produce like an absolute masterpiece and away they go. Like,
but it's always nice. Like, I think, I've always just been like, it's just about helping people as well. There's no there's no competition in terms of like, if there is, it means that you're not good enough, basically. You know, if you're worried about the next kid coming up, you just need to up your game. You don't need to sort of hold anyone else back. So I've always just been like, just trying to help as many people. And it's good to be able to like see people
evolve and
progress and do cool stuff. And not everyone does. Like, you get fucked over by people, and some people just turn out to be douchebags
or wankers,
but it's all part of the game.
That's it. And it's like that with every scene as well. Like, I was saying this to I was saying this actually in the class the other day at TAFE as well, where it's like, sometimes the hospitality scene can be toxic, but it's only toxic if you let it be toxic, because it's just like with every industry. There's good people, there's bad people, and there's some people that just want money, there's some people that want to help each other. Like, you just have to find your niche market and hang out with them.
There's a lot of good people, and there's a lot of people who are in it just for the right reasons. And a lot of people who are just in it for the love of music.
That's it.
That's the best thing, I think, about all the years at Amber and putting on shows. It was less about just putting on a show to make money, and that's why I never did a production company, never really did anything except for Amber shows, because I was just like, I just want to put on shows and put on good music. I didn't really care about putting on like a Ferris wheel and fucking food trucks. Like, it's just, for me, it was just all about being able to bring out artists that were doing really cool stuff that you might not hear otherwise. And that people might come and hear because they've known the name Force Majeure or something like that, or to just showcase new artists that are coming up. That's just, I don't know, music's just such a good thing to bring people together. There's just so many people who, there's so many people you meet who are DJs, want to be DJs, from the punter here to the bar staff to the lighting guy. Everyone wants to be a DJ, but then there's just so many more people who are just fucking love music.
That's it,
And it's like, that to me is just awesome. It's just like, they go out every weekend just to dance because they just love hearing that music.
Just the self-expression.
They support all the artists, they support local artists, they support local events. And And there's still a lot of that now, but I think it definitely kind of got lost a little way in Perth a few years back.
I really think it's like to an extent the same in a way. It's one of those things where I kind of blame it on social media in a way, because it's like it just kind of, in my opinion, it kind of corrupted the system almost, because then it became a bit more of a competition when it shouldn't be a competition. Because like, you know, you see people on their news feed, or you see people on their stories, and they're just trying to like one up each other almost.
It does, yeah. And there is like, that element to it.
And you know, like, oh, I'm playing here, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, but it shouldn't be about that. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe it's a bit kind of dreamy to sort of say it should be about the music, but I mean, there's always other elements involved.
But that's what's so good about events such as like Blazing Swan, stuff like that. Because it's like with places like, you know, Bushdorf's and Blazing Swan stuff, it's not just to go, okay, I'm getting paid X amount, I can do this, and look at me in my flash BMW or this or that. It's like, I'm going to a Bushdorf where they made a Millennium Falcon and get to go party in it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it becomes about the community.
Exactly,
and that's what you build. That's what Amber really had, a really good community. And then stuff like the Blazing Swan, that. It's just like you build this kind of community of people who just love music. That's what you're coming together over.
Exactly.
Even in the mix back in the day, it was like everyone was on there and chatting on the message board just because you just love music. And you can fight about who your favorite artist is, or if this guy was good or shit or whatever, but it's like that passion is what brings that group of people together.
And that's what it should be about.
Oh, and that's what I love. It's just like, I just love music more than most things.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, it's just like to see other people who have that same passion is just awesome.
Yeah. And then so like with RTR and stuff like that, because like when you started doing, you know, the late night shows and also moving on to full frequency as well, do you get like guest DJs and stuff in as well sometimes? And like
we did a few on RTR. Me and Micah did Mondays, so our guests were pretty few and far between. Unfortunately, everyone's like flown in and out before then.
Yeah,
we did get.
Did you get many local DJs as well?
Yeah, local guests. Yeah, we had quite a few over the years. We had some good ones. We had like Porter Robinson on one.
Oh wow!
One time we had a bunch of like breaks DJs and stuff who were around. Yeah, some cool stuff. But Rock Riley does Fridays.
Yeah, shout out Rock Riley. Yeah. Amazing.
She gets the good guests because everyone flies in on a Friday afternoon and goes and does radio.
So back when I used to play at the Flying Scotsman, she used to play upstairs while I'll play downstairs. Rock Riley just amazing. She is such a cool human being.
Yeah, and just a lovely person.
Yeah, she's just so nice. She's lovely.
Yeah.
I really want to try and get her on here.
Nice. I don't know. I've never heard anyone say a bad thing.
Here's one for you as well. So like from the vinyl, when did you start progressing into CDJs and stuff like that? Or to going into more
I was
new
on
age?
As soon as I could.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I wouldn't say an early adopter, but I was just like
you saw that was the future kind of? Or?
Well, mostly because I was already like making stuff, like doing edits and doing like bootlegs and like trying to do my own little tunes to kind of set me apart from the next guy. Because but when it was vinyl, you were kind of limited, you know, like everyone could have the same tunes.
Exactly.
Only X amount of these songs would get shipped into Perth every week. And so sometimes you would get something that no one else would have, and you might have a few weeks before another shipment with that tune came. So you'd be like, I've got this for 2 or 3 weeks, and then other people would be like, I want that tune, and they'd order it.
Yeah.
But there was a kind of, when it was vinyl like that, it was a kind of like exclusivity to it, because it was like, it was limited in some way. Digital came about and it was like awesome, but like literally everyone can have the same songs off Beatport in the top 10 every week. But I was into it just because I was making songs, or just more like doing edits and bootlegs and stuff.
And so how did you fall into the production element of things as well? Like, did you just kind of think like straight away, like, because as you said, that, you know, you wanted to make edits and this and that, but like, did someone show you how to do that, or like?
Nah, not really.
Or you just like, what was the first program you used as well?
I think I used to use Acid, which
that's
Steinberg Acid.
I've heard of that. That's
it was
ancient.
Pretty much just like layering waveforms, but it had a really good like beat called the Beat Wizard, which is basically just time out stuff. Yeah. So you could download acapellas off like Kazaa and LimeWire.
Yeah, good old LimeWire.
Shit like that. But yeah, you could get an acapella, and this is like, I started out just doing this for like hip hop stuff. So you get like whatever 50 Cent acapella, put it over like a different beat and play that, and everyone's like, oh. I mean, it's different, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how it started, and then I never really I just kind of was like, well, that's the next obvious progression. Yeah. So I'll just do that.
Yeah, because you were saying it, like, when I read your the little bio and stuff like that, you won a few awards and you got to, like, quite high up in the Beatport charts for a genre as well. Like,
oh yeah, so I've released a bunch of music. So yeah, I did. I had in that I got a Beatport #1, but it was a Beatport hip hop genre #1.
but still, that's still
Hey,
really
I'm
cool.
claiming it.
Yeah, do that. Like, 100%
it was before,
claim
like
that.
now. I think if you go into the hip hop genre, it's all like trap, or it
Yeah.
was for a while, and it was a bit more competitive. This is when I was doing a bit more like funk, hip hop, sort of new funk, ghetto funk sort of stuff. Oh, actually, and then me and Micah got a tune up to top of the breaks charts as well.
Top of the breaks charts as well. Holy crap.
That was pretty good. That
Yeah.
was like way more recent. So me and Micah ended up doing a collaborative project called Black and Blunt for quite a few years, and it was more production based. And yeah, we ended up doing a tune with Decline, who's a kind of a big breaks guy, when he was over for a show. Yeah, and that got to #1 on the break charts.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No? Like, so then with that as well, like, so do you still produce music, and like, do you still try and?
Yeah, I do actually. I've produced loads. I just haven't really released anything in a while. But yeah, pretty much like, I don't know. I'm just kind of. It's kind of my release now. It sounds kind of naff and cliche, but like I'll just noodle away on my laptop like 3 or 4 nights a week, even just on the couch. Whether or not anything comes of it, it's just like kind of like therapeutic now.
Well,
But it does sound like such a wanky thing to say.
No. Honestly, no. Like, that's the thing. Like, so a good friend of mine has always tried to pressure me into being like, you know, when you go to buy your music, try and find. So like, if you go and buy like, I don't know, the latest hits or whatever, try and find 3 or 4 songs you can mix that in with, kind of thing, and like
That's a good way to do it.
practice your DJing in a way. And it's like, I find that honestly, just sitting in bed, just like, all right, I got this song, it's in that key. How can I make this work or do that? And
It does get pretty addictive.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like just before bed, and it's like, you know, wide eyes staring at a laptop screen. It's like,
Yeah,
all right,
pretty
got to prepare for work a little bit, but you know.
Well, I think that's it, and that's just like, and even if you kind of sit there for 3 hours and just look for music, it's like it takes a certain kind of person to do that with a certain level of kind of passion and want for it.
But we've all got our own things, whether it be reading books or searching for music or producing music or.
But I mean, finding new music to me is still just such a glorious.
It is, yeah.
Pastime. It's like I listen to so much new music, so much like stuff that's not dance music, stuff that is dance music, and then you know when you find. Even now, I still find something that, you know, not everyone else is onto. You know, it's easy to get some big tunes that everyone knows about. But it's like when you find that gem that's just like just as good as those big tunes, and like you said, it'll mix in perfectly, and that other people on the dance floor will be like, "Oh, what's this? I really like it," without ever having heard it before. That's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things as well, because like I've had this discussion with a few mates in the past where it's like, when you go out and DJ and when you go out and play, it's like you should play, you know, like 60-40, 70-30 of this like stuff that they do know, but like 40%, 30% of stuff they don't know, to introduce people to new things.
Well, the classic one is one for you, one for me.
Exactly, yeah.
I think the Presets did a song called that.
Yeah, they do, and that was a banger.
Yeah. But that was, I reckon that's what it's about, because that's what we used to say as well. You do one for them, you know, something that people know, because you need to. People they hang on to that sort of stuff. Very rarely do you get a crowd that's just up and open for like completely unheard music and they'll go with you. You do get them, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, you know, depending on your place and time and scene and everything. But yeah, you got to give them something that they can cling on to.
That's it, yeah. And the thing is, though, is like if you stumble upon this gem, you never know, in 6 months it could be a #1, number 10 or whatever.
Well,
like,
it happens as well.
Yeah.
Like you'll get a song and just be like, this is fucking gold.
Well, that's it. Like, perfect example is Bag Raiders Shooting Stars. Like, when I was listening to that when that came out, like, you know, like a year after that came out, I stumbled upon that song and loved it.
Yeah.
And it's like 3-4 years later, and it's like, okay.
It became a meme.
And then it became a meme. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, everyone loves it now.
Yeah.
I knew
I
about
did that
forever.
recently. This is kind of like a humble brag, but I found Lizzo like randomly, you know, probably 2 years before she blew up at the start of last year. And so I was playing, what is it, Good as Hell, because because that's just like a funky jam, like all my bar sets, and like people would come up and be like, what's this? It's fucking sick. And I was like, yeah, it's like this chick Lizzo, didn't know anything about her. And then then she just blew up, and now I can't play that song anymore.
That's it, yeah. And now it's in the top 10. It was like, oh, it's cheesy.
But it happens. It's like, you know, there's stuff out there, and there's so much music that you just find stuff which is like at this like top level quality and catchy as hell, and that people, even like a cheesier crowd who would just want to hear WAP and the stuff that they hear on the radio, like you can give them stuff that is good enough, and it's not every, you know, it's can be few and far between, but yeah, you can find those gems that keep everyone happy, and they're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
you know,
that's
they're
it.
Shazamming it, and you're like,
yeah. And then
I always love when someone Shazams it. You can tell because they're just like weirdly holding their phone.
That's it,
You're like, yes, I fucking got you.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I love that as well. Or when they come up to you and it's like, hey, what's this? And like, it's this, you know, I got this song, yeah.
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, showing people new music is just a great thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's you're on a radio show or you're a DJ or just like sending your friend like, check this fucking song out. It's, I don't know, there's a beauty in that.
So with running a radio show as well, like how does that go? Because I mean, like, you know, like I'm doing my own like live radio show kind of thing, majiggy podcast thing, right? Like interview thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't want to claim that, but I'd like that title. But like when you go to actually do a radio show, like what's involved in a way, kind of like, because is it just you or is it you and someone else? And like,
well, I've only really done full frequency with like RTR stuff. So generally it's been me and someone else.
Yeah. Because it just sounds so fascinating. Like, because back when I was playing at the Scotto, I talked to Rock Riley a bit, and I was like, you know, how do I get into RTR and stuff?
Yeah, well,
and
there's a course you can do.
She was telling me about the course, but I was studying,
and
I was like, oh, I really want to do that, but I'm already doing a TAFE diploma. I'm like, how do I do this? And then, I forgot about it, kind of.
Yeah, but it's kind of, you know, there's not a lot of science to it. You know, it's just like talking like this and then play some songs.
Yeah.
Where, you know, in whatever format, play an ad when you need to, and like it's, I mean, for me, it was, I never had to do the course because I kind of just like snuck my way in there. And to be honest, I was never really that good at it. Just through like time, I kind of got more confident at talking. And now I kind of feel kind of all right to jump on the mic. As long as there's no one watching me talk, like a crowd of people, I'm fine.
Yeah. But it's also one of those things where it's just like, work experience and actually experience in the field. Sometimes, like, you know, you can go, it's one of those things, like, you know, you can go and do a degree, like, this is my opinion, you can go and do a degree, but if you've got the actual experience in the field at doing the job, sometimes that it's like so much more better.
Maybe not always, but a lot of the time way more valuable. I mean, that's my experience with radio. Like, I just kind of fell into it and then just did it for ages, and then kind of you just get kind of all right at it, I guess. Yeah,
it's just over time.
It's like to the point where I don't really know any tricks or any like anything I could teach someone else, but I know how I can get through a show, I guess.
Have you learned is that the real secret, man? That there's no tricks, just long hard
No, there's
work.
Heaps of tricks. I just don't know what they are. I'm just like going off like whatever, like instinct, I guess. I don't know.
Damn it, you ruined that cliche, man. It was like there's no shortcuts to success. You're like, there is. I just don't know them.
Yeah, exactly.
You mind if we read out some of the
we got comments?
Oh man, we got a lot of.
How many comments we got? Oh god, have we blown up? Oh dear. Oh wow, we got a few.
Oh, the switchboard is on fire.
Yeah. As I said, you're a popular man.
The first one's from a guy called Phil Berrick. Sounds like a piece of shit. He's giving us a good old yo. Of course, the great Jay Hockley.
Oh, shout out to Jay.
Such a great artist of the scene. Jason Bestel, awesome mate.
Dan and Jace.
Dan at Coventry. And our friends from TAFE for going, giving us a bit of a shout out. We really do appreciate.
G'day Flynn and
Flynn
hey
and
Jet.
All the boys giving it out to the Perth scene. Ollie Venoir is apparently Amber has been around for about 18-ish years before it had to shut down.
Well, Ollie was a resident there for a long time as well.
There we go, man. Benjamin Button is going Philly yay.
Ben's
emoji.
another DJ around town, Ben Steele.
Oh, really? Benjamin Steele.
Benjamin Steele.
Yeah, shout out to him. He does last night? He did an emo night not too long ago at Amplify. He's been running events.
Has he been
for a
doing
while.
last night at Amplify for years?
No, not last night. Yeah.
No, Ben, he's like
maybe
he's a barber in Northbridge.
Oh,
he does
okay.
like
Is he the guy?
I
Does he
might have
have,
got
does
mixed
he have a
up.
lot of tattoos on the side of his head?
No.
No,
Oh,
okay.
maybe the dude that works for him does though.
Yeah.
Danny Barbaco, shout out.
Yeah, Danny Barbecue. Shout out to that. And of course we got, well then that was me, it was like the dual shot is known as the beer cam. That is of course, that is the official moniker. And of course Jay Hockley again with many big nights at Amber, was such a great venue. And Mr. Andrew Edwards, Philly, take my knickers. Philly, would you?
I won't because I know him. He's one half of the Beat Slappers.
The Beat Slappers.
Who are a great breaks act out of Perth.
Okay.
Still doing good stuff. Played with them out on Boxing Day and they killed it.
Really?
Made us look bad.
Boxing Day is in like Breakfast?
Well, what would have been Breakfast?
Okay.
It was at the court this year because
Yeah, COVID and stuff like that.
yeah.
Have you played many Breakfasts and stuff? at all?
Yeah, I've done a bunch now.
How are they? Because I've never been to one. I've always wanted to
They're
go.
amazing, mate.
Yeah, the videos look so good.
Yeah, they're good. It's like it started out just as just the bowl, and so it was just. I think it was back in the days when there was like Future Music and Stereosonic, when there was like these huge, giant, multi-stage festivals. Theirs was like one stage, and the amphitheater is just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And so it was, and then they expanded to like having a second stage, but it was always just like they kept it to a good sort of size where it didn't become commercialized, it didn't become full of dickheads, and it was still focused on really good music.
Yeah.
And that evolved as well. It wasn't always just like breaks, but yeah, amazing event. Hopefully it's back for this year. You can come
Hopefully.
along.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I've out of
fingers crossed.
well, this year would have been the 20th year of Breakfest. I think.
Really?
And unfortunately they had to can it.
Yeah.
But I think out of those 20, I've been to 18. No,
So you are.
17 out of 19. So
And
yeah,
how many have you played as
I've
well?
probably only played like 8 or 10.
But
10
still,
maybe.
that's
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
Great,
That's pretty cool.
amazing festival.
So here's one for you as well. Like, how have you seen the music change? Like, do you like, because you know how like what you said just before, it's like, in a way, it's kind of certain places, certain music styles, in a way, it kind of attracts the wrong crowd. In a way, like not like that. I mean, like, for example, like, the classic of Tomorrowland, right? And there's like Australians wearing Australian budgie smugglers and stuff, and they're turbos and meatheads and this and that. And it's like, it's kind of like how, the world doesn't portray us as turbo meatheads and this and that, but it's like there are the guys that fist pump and all that.
I think there's
What's wrong with
there's
fist pumping, bro?
guys from every country in the
Yeah.
But I think it's just a matter of size. Like whenever a scene or something becomes that popular, and the masses kind of jump into it without maybe having that same appreciation, you're going to get.
Yeah, there's always the good, there's always the bad. Kind of thing. Yeah.
So I think, music's a tough one in that respect, because so often you build these little scenes and communities with people who just really are there because they love that same kind of music, and that builds and builds, and then eventually becomes something so big that everyone else just wants to come because it's a party, or maybe they're late adopters and, whatever. It's like there's all those people that, I'm sure there's famous DJs who do like crazy underground stuff now who first went out to got into dance music through David Guetta or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
I know when I was like 17, 18 and we first started going clubbing, we were listening to like the cheese of the time, which is like hard house, and it was like, that's what got me into wherever I ended up and wherever I do end up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's always going to be dickheads.
Yeah, no, that's
I don't know
exactly
where we
it.
started there. But
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's just, it's one of those things though, because it's like, when I was younger, for example, when I was 18, because I'm 28 now, when I was first 18, between 18 like maybe 20, it's like, you just go to a venue just because to go get munted in a way.
Yeah.
You go to a venue, just go have fun with your mates and just have a great time and cause trouble, have a bit of ruckus. Who knows where the night will take you. But then after I started getting into the music industry, it kind of like
that's how
changed in a way. Now it's like, I'm one of those guys that stands near the DJ booth and like, hey, good skills. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
No, but I think, lots of people have found dance music just through drug taking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of validity in that, I guess. It's like, but doesn't mean the whole scene's about that.
No, of course not.
A lot of people go out when they're young and they experiment with all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And, especially for people my age and probably in the 20 years since I've been going out, it's like you go out and get on it and you listen to dance music. In the same way that in the 60s people go out and get on acid.
That's exactly
and listen to like psych, whatever they were playing back then.
Yeah, and the Rolling Stones and stuff.
Exactly. So it's like, it can be an entry level or just an entry way, I guess. But that's how most people get into it. You go out and your mate takes you to something and you enjoy it a bit, and then you end up going there for a year because all your friends go there, and then before you know it, you're loving it and you're a DJ. And
yeah, that's exactly it. Well, that's like with Amber in a way, because with Amber, it's like, you go there and it's just the vibe. It's just the experience. It's
and
just
I think it's community as well.
Exactly,
Coming back
it's
to
the family
that building
kind
of
of
scene.
thing.
Yeah, it's like to go somewhere and even to go to a club and just not feel like there's angry dudes who want to fight you. Or, you can just kind of relax and let loose.
That's what was so good about Amber. Amber just had the alleyway, and you could, no matter what, you could walk down the alleyway and be like, can I borrow a dart? And sit down, get a light, and then just like meet people, socialize, network, and away you go, kind of.
Yeah, it's very welcoming community. And I think obviously when it gets to the giant sort of commercial popular level, it becomes... It's less that kind of small community that built it. But that's the draw card, really. It's not the drugs, and it's definitely the music. But I think it's just that big kind of community aspect.
Yeah.
Which it's the same thing that takes people to religion.
Exactly.
To sports. It's all the same kind of thing. You find people who are aligned with things that you like.
That's it. Yeah.
For us, it just seems to be music.
That's it. Well, it's just the hobbies and the things that drive you in a way. And it's just just the things that really do interest you. Because that's it. It's like, in a way, some people do sometimes say music is like a religion sometimes. And it's like they actually do, like, they're techno heads and they just... It's what they do. It's like what they listen to.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been said 100 times. But exactly. It's just like you find your people and you... do your thing. Yeah,
that's it. You find your group and you find your niche in a way, and you go and hang out.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So now that you've had such a big career, like, where are you headed now? Almost like, are you still trying to get? I mean, you said like you're not so much in the club scene anymore, but like, do you still do pubs, bars, and clubs?
So I still do. I still do gigs. Like most weekends, I'm out just doing like bar gigs, like playing like funky stuff, hip hop, house, disco, that sort of stuff. Which is, I still get a lot of enjoyment for that. I don't do any gigs, or I don't play stuff I don't like, and I haven't done for a while now. But that's always good, and it's always just good money as well. But yeah, it's nice to it's a nice outlet. And I've always loved that kind of music as well, so that's always good. In terms of like more club stuff, I don't really get booked for as much stuff these days. But I'm kind of like, I still write music. Hopefully I'll release a bit this year. I'm thinking of starting a podcast.
Yeah, I remember you saying something like that.
Yeah, well, you can have the world exclusive.
Yeah, here we go.
Starting a podcast.
Billy Blunt's exclusive.
Some competition for you guys.
What are you going to call it?
Well, I've got a name. It's called the Hollow Bones Drum Club.
Nice. That's not bad, actually.
That's something. I don't know where.
That's a cool name. It's got a ring to it. The Hollow Bones Drum Club, like. Yeah. So what's it going to be about? Like,
well, it's just going to be music based. Like, so
don't steal my idea now.
So I'm not playing club shows that much, but I'm still doing Trainwreck every kind of month on RTR, and I still just look for like all the dance music, the stuff that I would be playing in a dark nightclub at 3 a.m. if I was doing that every week still. So I was just like, I just kind of need an outlet and a reason to kind of put that down and have a mix and I don't know. I just like doing stuff. Music stuff.
Yeah, and just staying in the loop almost.
It's just kind of, exactly. It kind of keeps me connected to the scene, which after moving from Full Frequency, it was kind of a bit of a disconnect because I wasn't playing out every weekend at nightclubs. Yeah. And I wasn't doing the radio show, which was just a really good outlet for finding and sharing this kind of random music
and just being
from
involved.
like, yeah. So, and I'm doing Trainwreck now, but that's like, you know, a bit more sporadic and just like less. But I found that I'm still just looking and sort of listening as much as ever. So I need somewhere to put that. I don't know.
And so, like, how will you do it? Will you do it something similar to like what we do, like live on Facebook, or will you do it like YouTube?
No,
or?
I think it's just going to be like a podcast. I haven't really got the setup or the time regularly to do a live thing. Even though like a live stream is kind of, especially for DJ mixes, is the thing at the moment.
Yeah, that's it, with all the copyright.
But it'll just be like, I listen to it now that I'm working full time, and just like in general, just listen to a lot of music podcasts where it's just like a mix, you know. I do listen to a lot of music and other podcasts of like speaking, but yeah, like quite often I just want to hear a mix, you know, like some new tunes, old, whatever, you know. So I'm just going to do that. I think if it evolves into some guests and some guest mixes, cool, but it's just going to be more about me having a mix and showing off some new tunes that I really like.
No, that sounds good.
Potentially getting some of mine in there, sneaking them under the...
Have you ever heard of Noir Recommends at all?
No.
So Noir is he's got his own label called Noir, I think, but he's also got his DJ name as Noir. But he actually he plays alongside Carl Cox and stuff like that. Okay. And so with that, he actually has his radio... It's kind of one of the inspirations for doing this in a way. But he runs like a radio station on SoundCloud where what he'll do is he'll play like underground bootlegs and stuff that people send in and this and that. And he would just like... in between the tracks, or in between 2 or 3 tracks, he'll do like a bit of an announcement and be like, all right, so this song is coming from, you know, Norway or wherever it is, and like, you know, you can only get this as a pressed vinyl, and like this is the link. You can find the link below in the comments section, and like it's really cool. Like,
well, that's kind of like what we did on Full Frequency. Like Full Frequency, we weren't mixing all the tunes, but it wasn't like a standard radio show where we're chatting and you know, basically we'd put on 2 songs, back announce them, have a chat about the label, the artist, put on another 2 songs, play an ad, couple more. Yeah, it's just like, and that's a good format. I listen to a few that are similar to like that, and they'll do it like a DJ mix and just kind of pepper in some back announcements and you know, some info about the artist, but
it just keeps it fresh in a way, because if it's just song after song after song,
I didn't hate my own voice so much, I probably would do that, but I don't know, I'll see. I might. I've been thinking about it. Well,
you're just like speaking in a different tone. You're like, hey guys, you know, this is Full Frequency late at night. Like, we're going to play this song from Norway. But yeah, so where do you see yourself in the future? Like, where do you want to kind of aim to be in a way? I mean,
like, it's a good question. One that I don't put a lot of thought into. To be honest, I don't know. Like, I just want to keep being able to make music. Whether or not I get paid for it is kind of less and less important as I get older.
It's the passion as well, right?
Yeah, like I just find the joy in just doing it now, and like I guess it comes and goes over time. Like how much I actually feel like I should be putting this out. I want to get some response from people. You know, 6 months will go by and I'm just happy to noodle away. But I mean, in the end, it's like, it's good to be able to just actually show stuff and finish stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll just always keep making music. I do want to put out a bunch more this year. I'm not really fussed if it does much. I mean,
well, if you just put it out there, you put it out there. You never know.
Like you kind of, I guess, you know, you want people to hear it, but I'm not really trying to get gigs these days. Like I'm not hustling. I'm not hungry like you know, a 20-year-old or a 28-year-old is like, you know, and like I was at that age. Like I'm just kind of.
It's the hustle. You gotta. For me, it's never stop hustling.
Like I'm always doing stuff. Like obviously starting a podcast but yeah, I don't know. I think I'll just always keep doing stuff. I guess you just want, hopefully people are kind of keen to hear it.
Yeah.
You know.
But like I was just about to say as well, it could be like Bag Raiders. You release the song "Shooting Stars," and 5 years later, you're a meme and you're everywhere.
You're in a Katy Perry film clip.
Yeah, that's it. You're touring around the world. Like.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been doing it the whole time. They're like, you know, they were pretty big when Shooting Stars came out.
Exactly, but then like that's the thing. Like their career kind of, from what I'd noticed, it kind of dipped a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And then
that's lots of dudes who find you know, get a big boost after like 40 or whatever age after
Well,
being
even
in the
look
scene
at the
for 10, 20 years.
Yeah, even like with the presets as well. Because after they released, you know, like Apocalypto or whatever it was, with My People and all that, and This Boy's in Love and everything like that, you know, like they had such a huge thing. They were touring around the world and doing this and that. But then you have your low period, and then, you know, they released the new stuff like One For You, One For Me, and then back at it again.
Didn't they do an album in between there? I feel like they did. It was a bit more techno.
I think so, maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel for those guys, it was probably more intentional to be like, okay, we're just going to like...
Yeah, a bit more R&R, let's get back to real life, and then back into superstardom.
But there's dudes like, even like Dr. Packer, you know, Greg Packer. So Greg Packer had a decent career as a drum and bass DJ, still a really well-known name around the world. But then just had this late kind of career pivot to doing Dr. Packer disco stuff, and now arguably bigger than his Dr. Packer stuff. He's like,
so I had no idea it was drum and bass. I always thought he was disco and funk.
Well, he played
at
the Boxing Day gig for Boomsy. He's like, Greg Packer. Look up his drum and bass career is epic.
Yeah, I really want to try and get him on here if I can, because he's in Perth, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Perth guy. Yeah. But yeah, he's doing great, and I don't know how old he is, but. I mean, even like another disco guy, Late Night Tough Guy, I think was just like I actually don't know much about his career earlier, but again, did some disco edits for a party apparently, and then put some edits out on SoundCloud, and now he's like a touring DJ. That's what he does now. And it's just, I don't know. There's no reason to stop.
That's it, yeah. And
like, it doesn't matter how old you get. I don't think, for me anyway, like the love of the music, the love of just mixing and DJing, the love of like making music and like seeking it and sharing it. It's like, I can't really see that changing, you know, like I know when you're 20, you think of a 40-year-old and be like, would I still be doing that? Like, you know, what's he doing here? Maybe I don't know what 20-year-olds.
Well, see, that for me, but
like for me, it's exactly the same. I'd have the same mindset as when I was 20.
That's good though. That's really good, because that's like, you know, I see myself when I'm like 50 years old, just gonna keep going. Yeah, honestly, like, you know,
I don't know. Yeah, there's now that I am older, I'm like, like, why would I change? What are you gonna do?
That's it. And
just watch telly and not.
That's it. Sit at home and be like, I could be out playing music.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you want to be at the club Desperate Housewives, but it doesn't. Yeah, I think the passion's still there.
That's it. And you don't have to be at the club. You can just play at pubs and bars. Well,
that's pretty much where I'm at. But even that, I'm like, you know, in terms of the more club-based music, I'm just like. Happy. I still just really like listening to it and finding it and mixing it. It doesn't mean, you know, it'd be great to do it at a club, but whatever, you know. Yeah. It's not going to stop me.
That's it. And just don't let it stop you. Just like, keep going, keep pushing on. You just keep enjoying it.
Well, that's it. It's just
and if it's your passion, it's your passion kind of thing.
You got to do something.
That's it. So, have you toured much as well?
Yeah, a bit. I've done a bunch of stuff around Australia.
How is it trying to like did you do a tour or anything like that, or
never as like a full like kind of doing a whole Australia tour. I've done a bunch of like when I was kind of young and hungry and coming up, I was like kind of flying myself to Sydney and getting paid to play at like Chinese Laundry, which was kind of what you had to do in Perth because it was so fucking expensive to fly back and forth. It still is. So I was doing that a couple times a year until then you kind of build up a bit of a name over there and with releases, and then they might fly you out and that sort of stuff. And then when I was doing Black and Blunt with Micah, we did a fair bit of touring. We did like, we were playing kind of every 2 or 3 months, like Brisbane one night, Sydney the next, and then coming home, which was awesome. Great time.
It would have been, but that's the thing though. It's like the experiences,
kind of a dream, right?
Yeah, the adventures, like so many memories and fun times, right? Like,
yeah.
Because I really want to try and do that. Just like book a few gigs in Melbourne and just try and go over there and come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, there wasn't many people going over from Perth back. You know, it was like me and Micah, and then a couple of other guys maybe. But you're pretty much like paying your way, try and do a few gigs in the weekend. We'd go to Melbourne and do like 3 gigs in a night.
But that's fair though,
but great fun, and you kind of like break even at the end of it. You meet a bunch of cool friends, and
even if you're at a loss though, because it's just like you're going to a different city and you're just having fun. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And getting on the piss with your mates. Like,
there's not a lot to hate about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If anyone wants to book me over,
yeah, you hear that? You hear that first? Yeah. So we've got 10 minutes left as well. So usually we do like 5 random questions. Have you got any questions, Damo, at all?
I got some questions.
Oh, you got a question? Yeah, go for it. Yeah, of course.
Well, my first question would be, do you need any water?
Yes, affirmative.
Right. I was going to say, man, with the I guess the retirement of Amber, do you believe that the retrobite is picking up the torch and sort of taking on the baton?
I wouldn't say that, because retrobite closes at like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, I'm pretty sure.
They've got the early license, but they're a bit more, obviously they're more of a function
Exactly,
venue. But they're doing some really cool stuff. Great rooms. Me and Genga have started doing up some Sundays up the top there. Sunday Social Club. Shout out.
Yeah. If you're around, hit that up. Definitely hit that up.
But yeah, I mean, awesome venue. The bottom room kind of reminds me a little bit of like an like an Amber kind of just dungeon basement kind of vibe, which it is. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of handing the torch over, when Amber kind of finished up, it was because there just wasn't a demand for that at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of things had gone bigger and more commercial, and you kind of, all the festivals had, like your Futures and your Stereos, which were about bringing out the big DJs, had kind of dried up, and it was replaced by your ice cream factories, where it's like, is there a DJ? It's just, you just go into a festival.
The fruit clubs.
And they've kind of brought that back around now, and they're promoting like the music a bit more, but there was definitely a few years there where it wasn't the focus.
Yeah, and it kind of, it just dipped in a way a little bit.
And that being said, don't get me wrong, Nevermind's been going strong that whole time. Geisha's been going really strong. And there's a whole bunch of parties going on, just not in terms of like a regular weekly club night. I mean, Geisha is like the acceptance to that rule, because they've been going,
for
as long
forever.
as longer than Amber. But yeah, in terms of more bass, like not bass house, but just bass music, there just wasn't really something that jumped up in terms of like a regular night. And that's where I think those communities are kind of born, like Geisha and the Habitat crew have now, they've built up this awesome community of people where now they're doing like the bigger festivals, the garden parties, all this really cool stuff, because they've built this great kind of crew and community through over many years. And Nevermind's doing the same. They've got like a really kind of,
well, they won Best Bar of the Year award or something, I'm pretty sure, like for the not the Wham Awards, the what's it called, because it wasn't the one that Katie Banks threw at Magnet House. It was the actual official awards where they actually won, like, I can't remember, but they won some really big award, because like that place, it's like a church, basically.
The AHA Awards?
Yeah, the AHA Awards, yeah. Like, that place is basically like a church. People go there regardless.
And they've built that up as well, like 5 years ago it wasn't the same, and they've kind of just, they've nurtured it, and they're doing great music. They're not doing any shits. That's it. It's just like, it's all about good music, and then like supporting the locals, supporting the tunes, and supporting the people that support you, That's it. And it's such a good venue to have in Perth, honestly. Like, shout out to Ace, and then his partner. He's done the past, hasn't he? Yeah. And yeah, he was good to have on. He was great to talk to. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff. Now it's like there's lots of warehouse parties and stuff. Like, there's still like a good sort of scene, but in terms of like replacing Amber at that time, there wasn't really anything to do it.
What do you think about? Have you had much dealings with Sewing Room? The Sewing Room, like
I've been there a few times. That's about it.
That's it.
It's a cool room as well, though.
But
they're doing some good stuff. But again, it's more like function room.
Exactly.
But like, they're building up a name as like kind of known to be like putting on some really good electronic nights. So even if it might be drum and bass, or it might be dubstep, whatever it might be, it's now getting known as a good venue for that stuff.
Exactly,
just like Rekabite. And so I think it's slightly different, but same in many ways.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I got one more.
You got one more?
Yeah, one more. Well, listen, man, I think this is a bit more personal, but you're a dad, man. How does, and a lot of the DJs, the scene from the 90s onwards, like, they're growing up, they're getting wives, they're getting kids. How the hell do you still DJ while having a kid, man? Like, how do you keep that lifestyle going? Like, how do you drop off your kid in the morning after doing a 10-hour set until 3 a.m.?
I haven't done many 10 hours.
Well, that's good. Well, maybe that's the secret.
No, but it's just a balance. I mean, you got to kind of, I don't know, like with anything, having a kid shouldn't change your entire life, right?
Yeah.
You got to work the kid into your life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't have to change you as a person. Hopefully you guys will have kids one day, and it's like, doesn't mean you're going to want to stop playing music. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I'd highly recommend it. But also it's just like, I mean, I was saying before the show, like I've worked as a DJ for 20 years. So, you know, I'd been doing that for 13 or something years before having a kid. So it wasn't like I was going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go just get an office job doing something. I don't know, like this is my job for a long time in varying amounts. So it's just like, I don't know, there's lots of people who work different jobs.
Exactly.
All our hospitality friends, you know, work weekends, work late nights, and have families.
That's it. Yeah,
It's not that, it's less common in Perth that it seems like it's a weird thing.
exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah. But that it's just part of living life, though. You know,
Yeah,
so many
that's
people
right.
do different avenues, and they work this, they work that. Like, I mean, like, you know, like you're gonna, you know, if your dad's a garbage truck driver, who cares? Like, you're still putting food on the table.
It is the same though. It deserves the same amount of prestige.
Well, in that same respect, though, it's way more accepted and common for dads to go and fly out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, FIFA. Yeah,
And then come back for a week or two, and then fly away again. To me, that's like, that's way worse in terms of your relationship
100%.
with you and your kids and your family, and just with a standard social life and everything.
Yeah.
But like to Perth, that's normal.
That's
you know?
exactly it. Yeah.
But it's apparently weird if you work like 10 or 20 hours over the weekend.
Yeah, and then you barely. Yeah, it's
But
just
you just make it work. Whatever
you
know, whatever you do. There's
That's
no
it.
right or wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
you got to get paid somehow.
That's exactly it.
Kids aren't cheap.
Yeah, and the thing is that being able to have 2 jobs at the same time, like having a day job and having a weekend job.
Well, that
you
can
know,
get messy.
it can get messy, but then, you know, if you're earning quite good money, and then that way you can actually, you know, buy the toys and buy the things and give your kids a good life in a way.
Yeah, and like, to be honest, I pulled back on you know, I'm not playing out all weekend every weekend like I used to be from like Thursday to Sunday. But yeah, I mean, it's also just a nice outlet. Like working 9 to 5 is not super fun.
Yeah, it's tedious. Yeah,
Yeah, it's to go out on the weekend and make some money and see some people and play some songs that
That's
you like.
it, yeah.
It's like,
and that's the beauty of it, though. It's because like it's the social aspect of it. It's being able to play music and just enjoy. You're playing like the music you want to play and get, you know, people enjoying what you're doing, kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
And just having fun whilst you do it in a way. Like,
I mean, it's a pretty damn good job. So.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like, so that's what I mean. Like, when I'm 50, I still want to be doing the same thing. I don't care if I'm doing 10-hour
exactly.
sets. Like,
as long as people want to see you, it's like, why wouldn't you take the money and have some drinks and put on some songs?
yeah, that's it. Just press play and, you know, get a chicken palmy at a bar, you know, with your bar tab. So that's what that's what I'm a culprit of. It's like whenever I get a bar tab, I'm like, okay, what's on the food menu? Like, I'm going to try this and this and this.
I don't know. Well, see, what is the man? I don't know. I feel like Amber must have had some insane nights. But is there anything that really stands out to you? Is like the wildest night at Amber? Let's be real here, man.
I'm probably
Because
gonna
remember
get
there's something in
crucified
there
for
at like
not
4
remembering.
a.m. being like, what the fuck
there's
is
been
this?
some crazy stuff. I mean, Heath Ledger played there one night.
Heath Ledger played there. Really?
Yeah, I mean, not that he was a DJ, but this was before I was working there. But I think he did like anyway, he was in town for something. He just said he wanted to come down. I mean, there's been a lot of Diplo came and played one night. I was there. That was sick. I think that was after it's like a Stereosonic.
Zed's dead as well. Like,
I mean, there's been so many, you know, just people flying in, like falling down the stairs and having a set. I mean, in terms of big nights, shit. I mean, there's so many.
No, I mean,
Someone's going to remind me now.
What was
Like something. Why don't you talk about that?
What was a crazy night? Like, was there ever like a night where just
all right, so this is a good one.
Tore some lights down.
This is a good one.
Hell
This is another one of my stories that I tell. So I was playing there, and it was kind of early. It was like, I think I was doing 12 to 1, 11:30 to 1 set. So not super busy. People kind of filing in. This wasn't, I don't know how long ago. Anyway, so this chick comes up, this little tiny chick, and she's asked me to play something that was like, you know, the vibe and the music was here. She was like, play something that's hectic, like drum and bass, whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, nah,
Yeah, no.
whatever you tell people, She kept coming back. She came back about 3 times. And in the end, I was like, look, mate, she was real drunk and she was a bit fucking belligerent. She was real hassling me out. I was like, mate, if you don't fuck off, I'm going to tell security to kick you out, because she was being like a menace. So I was like, all right, step back to the decks. She gets a full tumbler of water and, I don't know if it was water or whatever, her full drink, and just like chucks it on me. Straight on my face, all down me, but all like literally straight into the mixer.
Oh my God, really?
So security grabs her, kick her out, me and the manager and the lighting guy like, fuck, what do we do? So they go and get the separate mixer, the backup, luckily there was one, switch it out, like there's a kind of a
dead silence.
30 seconds of dead air while we're like, fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
The lights on the mixer were like, it wasn't sparking, don't get me wrong, but it was like lights were flashing that aren't even meant to flash. It was, it was going loose. Anyway, so we got that sorted. We're like, what the fuck? Anyway, they've taken this chick outside and they're like, look, you've just ruined a like $3,000 mixer. The cops are on their way. If you leave now, you're fine, right? You got away with it. She doesn't leave. She starts abusing security, trying to fight them. This chick's like 5'2".
Oh my God.
Anyway, she was loose. It was early in the night too. It was before midnight.
Yeah.
But cops eventually come. By this time, I was still DJing. Heaps of people have left the club to go watch the kerfuffle outside in the alleyway. Cops come. She's like getting arrested, or she's getting talked to, not really arrested. And like my friends are out there, and what they heard was one of the cops yell, "She's gone for the Glock." So this chick had like in her stupor like reached for the cop's gun.
Oh my God.
And so I don't know, I mean, you can only guess what happens if you reach for a cop's gun.
You get tasered.
Well, she got dropped, like 4 police, knee on the neck. Yeah, taken away. And that was about it.
But still, wow.
But that was a pretty crazy story.
Yeah. Well, it's like the moral of the story: don't ruin a $3,000.
Don't go for the Glock.
Don't go for the Glock as well.
Don't go for the Glock.
Yeah. I mean, also don't throw a drink on me, please.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, that's so disrespectful. Like, who does that in today's day and age, kind of thing?
Yeah,
it was like 10 years ago, man. Come on, we moved past that.
Yeah, but still, it's just like, because that's the thing. Like, people really, the misconception is like a full set of CDJs and DJMs is like 10 grand. Like, yeah, as much as a car. Yeah. All right, but anyway, we got to wrap things up because we are a bit over time, a little bit maybe.
Oh, a little bit, like 3 minutes. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
all right, I'll send you my invoice.
yeah. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks guys, that was awesome fun.
If you're keen, like, in a year or two, or maybe we can come back.
I don't know if we can have any stories in that time, but I'll just repeat the same ones.
I might actually write up a bit of a script of like questions to ask instead of freestyle.
I'll try and annoy some girls in the meantime and get them to fuck me up on the decks.
Yeah.
You're gonna intentionally play some like really shitty like 90s like cheese, some like Eiffel 65 or something like that, just to like get the crowd against you, so you get more stories for us and shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good for that. I annoy enough people on the dance floor these days, unintentionally.
Yeah. See, I'm a culprit of that as well. I'm just like, what's he playing? what are they doing? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Mate,
Yeah, it was great.
you're a rock star, in my opinion. You're up there still. You're really still up there.
I'm glad I didn't ruin that.
And like I said, like my good friends, Death Disco, they highly regard you
They're good dudes.
as an amazing person, and you've proven that you're a cool dude.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. I'll happy to come back.
Yeah. We'll figure out some, something to talk about.
Yeah, I'll find some stories.
Yeah. And then we're also going to start doing, hopefully soon, we're going to get like 2 or 3 people on. So we can all just have like a discussion about anything
that'll be good.
and everything.
That'll be good. A nice round table kind of thing.
That's it. And so if you can, we'll get you on for one of those.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, and get some
Always
big names
to chat
on.
music and
Well, that's
people
it.
out.
This is all about music.
Yeah.
And entertainment, and nightlife, and hospitality, and everything in between.
Everything in between.
Yeah.
All about, but the what is in between, man? Having a great time.
Yep, that's it. All right, so thank you, Damo.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so much, Phil.
Hey, thanks,
honestly,
guys.
it's so good.
Appreciate it.
And then, this is me doing my thing, and then we're signing off.
There we are with episode 64, man.
Yep, 64. And you got to sign the board as well. Can you please pull that up, Damo?
Yes. Sorry.
Wrong button.
Yeah, sorry.
There
So we
go.
don't normally do this, but we have this beautiful
Shout out to Roberta, who is absolutely amazing and did this board for me. This is the new signature board, 2.0. Just
I love it.
So good. Just
Shout out to Birdie.
Yeah, that's it. It makes it just feel like a.
That's cool.
Just makes it feel like more of a studio, professional studio. But all right, well, let's wrap it up anyway, Damo. Run the ending credits.
I will. Please. Thank you so much. It was beauty, and we'll see you all.
We'll see
later.
you next week.
Gotcha.
Thanks, guys.
All right, catch ya.